where do we start? I mean, this was just a huge undertaking in just 2 weeks.
Well, like, if you go back to where you start, I guess you start with the consultation, right? And,
yeah.
And that was months and months ago. And I think what both of us saw and then truly felt through the entire process was, even during the consultation, you could tell he just trusted in our vision, right?
That was, for me and for you as artists, someone saying, okay, listen, I trust you guys, do whatever you want. It's almost scary,
right?
Because we can really go overboard.
Yeah.
I feel like we did, we didn't go overboard here, but we took the space, we made it its fullest potential with what we had. As far as like the rock selection was just amazing. Matt did a fantastic job of bringing in the rock, and quite honestly, like, we didn't have much input as far as what he was bringing.
Yeah, and so accommodating. Remember, like, we saw like the huge rocks were fantastic, but he had 75 tons of boulders that we didn't want to use.
They were
and he was
unusable,
able to like figure out how to get those out of here and bring new ones back in, which just made the project what it is, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing, like, you can't go without recognizing the team.
That's the only way this happens. So to do this in 12 days, you'd had to have the right mix of people. Number one, we've all got to be talented. Number two, we have to get along, because we're living and working together for 12 days in an extreme environment. So we're getting up early, getting to work all day, grinding until dark every single day to make this come together. We knew we had a hard line, we hit it, and it's because of the guys we brought in, like Jay and Eric from Stonebridge came in, Billy Harmon came in. Of course, we had Ralph. I mean, I can't go anywhere without Ralph.
Yeah.
And then you and I and Anthony, having the right mix of people just is, I think, what gave us our fantastic result.
We talk about this collaboration and stuff a lot, you know, especially through Aquascape. You do it all the time, whether you're in Massachusetts. We do it a lot together. We're in San Diego or in Arizona and Utah and different places like that. But even tapping into some of the local CACs, right? Like, we needed fabric, right? We needed fabric, and we needed it now. And so Craig McBride came through and got us some fabric.
So Cole Frisbee sent one of his guys out, Christian, to help us out for a day. That was a huge help. Having hands here just to do all the things that we couldn't really get to by ourselves was a huge help.
Yeah, it has to happen when we do these traveling jobs. You try to dot all your I's, cross all your T's, but no matter what, you're forgetting stuff, right? And so amazing customers that are extremely accommodating helps, and that's been true no matter where we've gone. And then an amazing team. It doesn't happen without either one of those.
We get a lot of requests from people. Like, I'll get emails and messages saying, you know, do you guys travel? Yes, we do, but there's a huge caveat to that. These jobs are extremely expensive. Just to mobilize a team like this, it costs a lot of money. And it's not like doing a job at home where we've got all our trucks, all our equipment. We're coming out here, we have to source everything, and we have to put a team together. And to do that, it's quite costly. So a job like this, like, when we're all said and done, I'm almost afraid to say how much this is going to be, because I'm going to get so much backlash in the comments. This is going to be about a $500,000 project. If you look at the size of it and the amount of tonnage of boulders that here, the guys that we're putting on site to make this happen, the equipment, the logistics, it's an expensive project.
He had 350 tons of boulders delivered here for us. And we told them we needed about 30-40 tons of gravel, and I think we used closer to 80.
It's not lost on me. This is not something that a regular homeowner could afford.
No.
And we are extremely fortunate to have this opportunity, because it lets us really spread our wings and show what we can do. And that for me is like, gives me the reason to want to do this, because I love big projects.
Well, it allows us to be creative, right? And get to do things and try things that we don't get to do all the time. Which, like, takes us probably to the next part. Like, what's your favorite part?
So let's walk through this. What we started with was a blank canvas. Matt had originally put a pond in the front yard. It was a big 9 foot deep, just slope side pond.
Looked like a farm pond.
He wasn't real happy. He was trying to do it himself, and then he came upon our videos, and this is how we got here. Then when we got here, like you said, he's like, you guys do what you think you would want to do. We're like, let's take it out of the middle of the front yard and let's put it here by the barn. And that opened up a huge Pandora's box, because we're like, what if we put, what if you made your office in the barn? And Matt took all that to heart and really did that. Tucking it in between all those live oak trees and the pines is the perfect setting. So
this, like, I don't know if it's the setting, I don't know if it's the intake a bit. Like, the intake bay is awesome, the wetland filter is awesome, the stone stairs are awesome, the waterfall is incredible.
So let's start at the far end of the
bridge. Like, I just keep going.
Let's start at the far end of the pond by the bridge. So that is the waterfall that's going to be the end of a 120-foot stream, which is phase 2 we're coming back for. That waterfall, I love the simplicity of it.
I love this sound.
Right? And that's what's so cool. We have 2 waterfalls that have the same amount of flow. We're running 2 5-to-9 SLD pumps on both sets of waterfalls. And you'll see like the drastic difference in sight and sound just by the way we put the rocks in and how we shape the water.
It is crazy. So the same size pump on both of them and 2 completely different looks, completely different sounds.
So that stream waterfall, we'll call it, we took 2 of our main character boulders and we kind of sloped them into each other, creating a pinch point so we can get that thick water.
And that water's like this thick coming through there. It's really, really thick.
And then having the opportunity to take that other boulder and put it in front, as soon as the water goes in kind of like a point, like that real thick water, it splits right around that rock, giving it such an awesome look.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Which does a couple things. Of course, the look is incredible, but it also gives us circulation. It's shoving that water out. When you pinch water down real tight like that, it's going to get velocity. It's going to move fast, and we needed that coming out of the cove, right?
Yep. It also creates, like, you want a waterfall, like, or I personally always want a waterfall close to a bridge.
Yeah.
So when you're crossing the bridge, it gives you a reason to kind of stop, pay attention to a little bit what's around you. You don't want to just cross the bridge and like just get to the other side. You want to slow down for a second. So the fact that the water is 18 inches deep through there, the fish can still get through that spot, hang out by that Babbly Brook waterfall. It's just going to be a cool spot.
And right to the right of that, we did that beach area. And really the #1 reason that Matt and Julie wanted this pond out front was for the dogs. They got 4 large German Shepherds, actually really well-behaved dogs.
Yeah.
And they wanted them to be able to interact with this. He's like, can we put a beach in? Because they got Duke, who's an older dog.
Yep.
He's like, he would like to walk in there and just kind of chill out. And that's what he did when we got this thing going. So that brings us to the crossing. We kind of went back and forth on this a little bit. Like, should we take one of these large slabs and just do it? And I thought back to when you and I worked in the Sandbox studio.
Yep.
And we did that floating bridge.
Yep.
With the 2 pieces that came together. I love that. So I'm like, let's do that here, Bri.
The best part about that bridge is actually how quick it went together. We were both kind of nervous, like this is going to take us a day and a half, and sometimes it can, right? Like you just don't know if the elevations are going to work out, how much you're going to have to pull that liner back and forth, set up your base material, but all the elevations worked out. The stones like just married to each other perfectly. They look like they were part of the same rock, and water really just carved out that section in between, which is so cool. We even kind of argued a little bit, and we argue a lot.
A lot.
Right? But we enjoy it, right? But we were talking about the rock just on the other side of the bridge and how I felt it was a little bit too tall of a step, and didn't disagree with that. It looked good. It was just a tall step. But what's great about it is it becomes a bench on that side. Like, so you can sit on it because it's so massive. You can really just kind of adjust your step down to it. And so it worked out right. And I don't always tell Jack that he was right. In fact, I never tell Jack he was right. And I'm not going to start, but it's cool.
I love the way it looked because we needed to do something there, because that came to a narrow point, that step, and it looked kind of funky. We're like, let's bring something in that's adjacent to it, that plays off of it, gives us our elevation, but also acts as a step. Yes, it's not a normal size step, but this is more of a natural type feel out here. We didn't want to have everything very symmetrical and like the sawn boulders and stuff, so like, let's work with it. And actually, we had Matt walk up and down it a few times. He's like, I'm fine with it. So
good.
I was right.
So the bridge takes you over to what's going to be one of the cooler patios that I've ever seen by a pond.
Yeah.
We set that big giant arched wall off of the man cave space, and there's going to be a big natural stone patio that comes in cantilevers just out over that front wall there. And because we were able to set the water level within 2 inches of the top of that, it's really going to feel like you're on water.
Imagine being in that space, like whatever he has, a desk in there, a bar, or whatever he has inside there, those big Cabo style doors where you slide the whole thing open, sitting there, it's gonna look like you're literally on the water.
Yeah.
So bringing that water up high was an important design element, and that's what we put the block wall in for. People are gonna be like, well, why'd you use a block wall in the pond? We needed it for, number one, stability for putting that patio out over there. We needed a consistent level there. If we did it in rock work, we probably could have done it, but it would have taken an enormous amount of time to make that happen. So like, block wall, cool design element, and cutting those lights into the wall gives it such a clean look, where you're standing over it, you don't see the fixture, but it just has a nice glow coming out. This is definitely not just a pond. This is a lifestyle out here. Absolutely. With the interaction of the crossings, and there's going to be more crossings as you go up the stream. Then we get to the big waterfall. So now we've got this huge pond, awesome steppers going across by the stream, cool waterfall on one end, which probably would have been enough, right?
Yep.
But when we came out here, one of the things we talked to Matt about was, where do you spend your time when you're in the house? And his office is right in front of the house. So we looked out, we saw this park-like setting with the trees and the barn. We're like, what's the line of sight? We need to get a big waterfall in line of sight. So if you're sitting at your desk looking out, you're inspired by this huge monolithic rock structure that has a beautiful cascade coming out of it.
And as big as it is, I think, but like a lot of people would have said, okay, I got 2 5 to 9 pumps, let's stretch this thing out really wide. Let's make this thing 6 7 feet wide. Let's have water crashing all over the place. The way we built it, it looks like it belongs there, right? It's very to scale. It's not overwhelming. It doesn't overpower any other part of the feature. It's just part of the entire thing.
I think what you have to keep in mind when you're talking about a residential project, this is not a commercial setting where you've got to have like huge crashing waterfalls to be able to see it from long distances. You want it to draw you out into the yard. And that's kind of where all the design elements come into play. Like, that is the draw, looking out the window and then stepping out the front door of the house. And then you're making your way through the meandering paths, over the waterways, making your way over to the barn or up by the waterfall to the staircase. It's just a reason to come out there.
Yeah. Well, the project is incredible. We killed it as far as, I mean, we killed ourselves. We're both saying this is probably the source.
My body hurts a lot.
But working 12, 13 days in a row, we'll do that. We, you know, when we come out here, we do this for the memories, we do this for the experiences, but we put our bodies to work, right? And it was sun up to sundown every single day, and it looks like it. I mean, clearly, we love our jobs.
So we will be back here for phase 2, which is going to be an incredible project all on its own. Fountainscapes, streams, all kinds of crazy stuff. But let me know what you think about phase 1. Leave a like, share this video with people. We'd love for more people to enjoy what it is we're doing here. And of course, hit the subscribe button. Go over to Team Aquascape, hit those guys up. Brian is doing awesome stuff with Chris and the fellows at Team Aquascape. And see you on the next one.
See you later. Bye.